My intonation always used to be out of tune, and this made me sound horrendous. I could never play anything sounding good, and this just made me more frustrated and even resentful. But I continued playing violin for another 7 years, and boy, I made a transformation like none other. From being the worst in my class, I became the best. I impressed everyone around me. And this was all because of fixing my intonation. In this video, I'm gonna teach you the 5 most impactful tips that were game changers to my intonation, with number 5 being the most useful. The first tip I would give you is super simple, but you have to do this. It is to make sure that your violin is in tune. Your intonation's going nowhere unless you get your violin in tune. So take out that tuning app and get your A ready. The second tip is to use a tuner. And note that this is only for beginners, because if you're a little more advanced, using a tuner will just make you over-reliant on it. And you really want to build your ear to catching those good sounding notes. The third tip I would give you is to double check your notes with your open strings. For example, if you're playing an A, you want to make sure that the A that you're playing is in a line with the open string A. Okay, let's say I'm playing an A on the E string. Right? Now, to make sure that this is in tune, I can double check by playing a double stop with my normal A. When it's in tune, you feel the sound waves lining up. But when it's not in tune, I'm gonna play this a little flat. Do you hear the dissonance there? It doesn't sound very good. It just feels off-putting. So now let me show you how it sounds when it's too sharp. That also doesn't sound good. So we want to get the intonation spot on. Like that. You can use this tip for all 4 strings, no matter what position you are in. So the next tip is very similar to the third one, which is to make sure that each note rings. When a note is in tune, you feel it. So let's use a different note. Let's use D. So that D is in tune. And you can see that the D string also slightly vibrates when you're playing a D on the A string. Like even when it's like slightly out of tune, you don't get that ringing noise. Like you can tell that's a little sharp if you have the ear for it. You feel the sound waves settling in, if that makes sense. Oh, and by the way, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10 subscribers by the end of January. Thanks. So the 5th tip I would give you is to mark in your half steps and whole steps. So a half step is when the fingers are touching, and a whole step is when they're further apart. They're 2 notes apart, if that makes sense. So let's use a B. The note right after would either be a C or a B flat. So let's just use a C for example. So that is a half step. But let's just do the same B. If I want to do a whole step, it'd either be B to an A, open string A, or B to a C sharp. So how do we mark whole steps and half steps? So half steps are indicated with like a triangle-like thing, like this V or upside down V. And a whole step is indicated with a bracket right here. Another way to improve your intonation by marking things in is to write arrows. So a while ago when I was working on the G major scale, I added an arrow on the F sharp because it's higher up. So I would move my second finger higher. But if I wanted to play a natural somewhere or like a flat, I could always put the arrow down so that would tell me to bring my finger closer in. Tuning is one of those things that's very difficult to get just by yourself. And that's why you need a private lesson teacher. So click on the top link in the description so that you can learn one-on-one from me, and I can coach you and I can help you develop into your best violin playing self. If not, click on this video here so that you can get some more YouTube free education on how to play the violin. Thanks.